Welcome to Branching Out, a new podcast from Bonsai. I am the co-founder of Bonsai and your host, Matt Butler. Bonsai's platform delivers powerful marketing measurement and custom buying algorithms using first-party data. I aim to deliver interesting, informative insights for the modern marketer and get wisdom from the thought leaders you should know. I hope this podcast is entertaining. I hope it simplifies what's complicated. And I hope it arms you to succeed and makes you laugh along the way. Enjoy. So Google has given an indefinite stay of execution to the third-party cookie. The news has essentially started a trend in people announcing their relief and acceptance that their third-party cookie-driven digital marketing strategy will continue. I'm here to tell everybody that everyone's reacting exactly the wrong way to the news that the third-party cookie is not dying. The biggest sign yet that you are losing money by optimizing your marketing strategy to third-party conversions is that they've been given this indefinite stay of execution. Why? Because there's an asymmetrical value exchange, and that asymmetrical value exchange was not possible without third-party cookies. Let's explain. Third-party cookies have hit mainstream news mainly because of their role in protecting or not protecting consumer or user privacy. They are the method by which businesses of any size, the smallest businesses and the biggest businesses in the world, reach you, their target customer, online. How do third-party cookies help these businesses reach you, their target customer? Third-party cookies are essentially a tracker that a business can put on their website that is shared by different digital ad platforms where target customers, or you, the consumer, spend most of your time. So essentially, think of it like a raffle ticket at the 50-50 potluck at your local minor league baseball game. It's easiest to understand third-party cookies if you forget all about digital technology for a second. And imagine a different scenario. Imagine you ran a store and a big company came to you and said, "We help stores like you get new customers to grow your business." You'd be excited and you'd say, "Great, what do I need to do to have you help me get new customers?" If the company said, "It's easy, we just need you to do one thing. We have this little device, we'd like you to put it at the cash register of your store. The cash register of your store then gets this little device. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't disrupt your store in any way. All it does is read these little ID cards. These ID cards are only readable by our little scanner, and they're the ID cards of these new customers that we're responsible for. So if there are people out there who are your target customer, we figure out who those people are, we give them a little card, and then if they happen to go to your store and buy, we know we've given you a new customer." Awesome. You said, "Great. This sounds like a great deal. They'll be able to account for exactly how many of these new people they're bringing to my store." The only catch in the entire process is a part that company doesn't tell you, the store owner. You see, that company happens to have a mandate, let's just say by authority of the mayor, to issue their ID cards out to every single person in the entire town. So unbeknownst to you, the store owner, every single person in the town gets one of these anonymous ID cards. Now, as the days go by, people shop at your store. But a lot of the people who shop at the store have the ID card, and with the tracker at your register, the tracker starts counting more and more customers coming from this service. Every day that goes by, the service tells you it's driven a ton of new customers, but you as a store owner don't notice a big difference in the amount of customers or sales you have on any given day. The first part of this analogy that's a big issue for you, the store owner, is the fact that the ID cards aren't going to people that the company has identified, sourced, and issued based on the fact that them being qualified to be a good target for your store. The issuance of the cards has come at scale. And so every single person has a card. This is essentially how the biggest digital ad platforms behave today. There's no mandate by any mayor or government official for people to have to be registered with one of the third-party cookies issued by Meta or Google or Amazon or a few of the other big guys. But the reality is these platforms collectively reach well over 90% of all people online. Let me introduce one additional wrinkle into the analogy. Because the company's ID cards are mandated to be in everyone's hands, what if the company decided that it was a lot of work to issue the cards to every single person in the town themselves? It was hard to get people to all come to one place or to go door to door and get them distributed to every single person. But what if they said, hey, you know what would be easier? What if we were just distributing these mandated ID cards out at all of the stores in the town? People have day-to-day chores, they've got day-to-day tasks, they're going to the post office, they're going to the supermarket, they're going to any number of places. Let's put someone in front of all of these doors with a handful of ID cards. And so when people are going about their normal day, they'll get to their destination, we'll give them a card, and we'll just keep doing that until every single person in the town has a card. It turns out that's a lot easier way to distribute all of the ID cards to everyone in the town, so that's what the company decides to do. So if you are running this hypothetical store and you're seeing more and more people checking out with the little device detecting their badge at checkout more and more, you're noticing that your sales aren't going up and up, even though that number of acquired new customers from the service is going up and up, and you're beginning to wonder, hey, this is kind of weird, what's going on? Know that it's exacerbated by the fact that now the company is actually issuing the ID cards to people who are coming to your store for the first time. So these are people who don't have the ID cards yet, but they get them right before they go into your store. And those people were already on their way to the store before they got the ID card. The ID card didn't initiate their interest in coming to your store. It just happened to be something inserted into their process before they got through the door. We skipped a little bit over the business arrangement you as the store owner had with this hypothetical company. Let's say before you agreed to let them acquire new customers for you and install their little device at your checkout register, you agreed to give them a little bit of money every single time one of their ID carded customers checked out at your store. So you have a business arrangement where you're paying the company a little bit of money every time one of their tagged customers checks out at your store. We know that every single person in the town has one of these tags, and if they don't, they're getting one on their way to your store. And then let's not forget, you let them put the little device at your checkout register. Now, there was no qualification of, hey, we're only going to let the device be around for certain times of day at the cash register, or before anyone gets to the register, we'll let the device be there to track them if it depends, if it's a particular type of person or customer or whatnot. It's there for the entirety of every transaction across your entire store. The device maybe only registers when its ID cards hits the checkout, but the reality is it's at the checkout. The company told you it only sees when the ID cards come through and registers that activity, but when you install devices at your checkout, they can see everything at the checkout. So where do we end up here? We've got a tracking technology that sees every single sale happening at your store. The same tracking technology that's tracking every single person and identifying them as a customer that they drove to your store. So before you adopted this company's acquisition arrangement, you had a store, you had customers, you had people checking out, and all you were looking for was new customers to grow. And now you have essentially the same amount of people coming to your store, the same amount of people checking out, except they're all identified as coming from this new company that you hired. They're all taking a bit of a commission of every one of your sales, and you're paying more and more and can't figure out why your business isn't growing anymore. If you followed the analogy and you know anything about digital advertising or digital advertising technology, you probably can figure out how this analogy relates to third-party cookies and the ecosystem today. But you might also be asking, is this analogy realistic? Is this truly something that explains or can be related to today's scenario? One of the premises of this hypothetical story is that the mayor mandated that this company's ID tags be issued to every single person in the town. That does not sound like something a mayor of a town would typically do. Why would this mandate be in place? Well, let's add a little bit of context to our little tale. So let's say that the company didn't just get gifted this mandate from the mayor overnight. Let's say this company had a little bit of a reputation. Let's say that this company had a really good reputation. There were, say, many years of existence where this company came about, where their ID tags were simply ID tags, and they were simply a service that was really good at finding businesses new customers. Years ago, their ID tags were never mandated by any mayor or anyone at all. They simply went around to small businesses, big businesses, or anyone that would listen, told them they were good at finding new customers, came up with a way of understanding who the good customers were with a system of anonymous identification through their little tag system. And over the course of those early years, story after story, business after business, industry after industry, everyone saw that when they worked with this company, their business grew really well. This worked for small retailers. This worked for barbers. This worked for suppliers. This worked for anyone and everyone. The company ended up getting more than just a good reputation. The company was revered. People clamored to bring this company to their town. People who got the tags found businesses and services that they really loved. People loved getting the ID tag. Businesses that signed up to have the tag system brought into their stores all seemed to grow. This played out over the course of time to the point where anyone who didn't have the tag in any town that wasn't able to work with this company brought themselves to the front of the line. They wanted to get a bit of time and attention from this amazing company. And so one of the strategies to get that company to come to their town and to help their businesses was to not just say that that company could come to town and do business, but to say, hey, we're going to mandate that this company be an integral part of our society. Everyone in our town, by ordinance and issuance of the mayor themselves, must get an ID tag from this company. In that kind of scenario, you could see how maybe something like that might be possible. And if we were to go all the way back to the beginning of how this all started in the first place, though that version of the anecdote sounds a little fantastical, it is really not that different than what really happened right around the turn of the 2000s when a company called Google came of age. So let's bring ourselves out of the story and back to reality. Now that the third-party cookie is here to stay, why shouldn't we run our digital marketing on third-party cookies anymore? The reality of the situation is this. One, third-party conversion data drives your ad dollars towards converters. It doesn't drive your ad dollars towards your next best prospective customers. Number two, when all of your ad dollars are going towards converters, your business isn't going to grow. Even when your ad ROAS does, there's more. Dozens of unintentional consequences come from these two realities. Number one, the first consequence is that you manage more and more media dollars because you're showing more and more ROAS. Yet the business growth that comes from those growing media dollars decays, and it decays quickly. Number two, you will end up getting into arguments with your finance teams. They will not understand why more conversions and more ROAS isn't driving more real sales. And by the way, you won't either. This leads to the third consequence. You're going to grow resentful of your business ops and your finance folks. They won't appreciate how hard you are working to optimize your media dollars to these third-party conversions. You're putting in a ton of effort to drive ROAS. You will not like that they don't understand and value that. Fourth, when your business isn't growing, your media dollars and your marketing budgets are going to get cut. It's not because you did anything wrong. It's only because they were being spent towards what third-party conversions told you to spend on. And that is why your business is shrinking. Fifth, a shrinking business has a shrinking marketing budget, which has shrinking marketing roles and responsibilities. And then sixth, well, let's just be honest, you're typically not even around for the rest of the consequences. I'll say it again. The sad part is that you are not doing anything wrong. This is just simply how everything ends up working today with our current digital ecosystem driven by the third-party cookies that power it. To grow your business and to win in this environment, especially that third-party cookies are now here to stay, you're going to need to grab the helm and steer headlong into the wind. What do I mean by that? Number one, you need to stop bidding to Google Ads conversions. Number two, you need to stop bidding to Facebook ads conversions. And number three, you need to stop bidding to programmatic conversions or any other conversion that's tracked by an ad platform that you don't own. Well, what should you do then? There's a few things. One, you should start looking at business reporting every day. And if your business doesn't provide you with business reporting, you should work with either a team, a technology, or internal partners, whoever you need to get access to business reporting. That is going to replace your daily cadence of looking at ad conversions. Next, you need to unify your customer journey data. You need to do it with first-party data. I'll talk about in another podcast what first-party data is. It's sometimes misunderstood as just being your customer email addresses and phone numbers and maybe their orders. First-party data is a lot bigger than that. You can understand your customer with first-party data that you get from consented, collected, and tracked places across all of your assets. The next thing you should do is measure customer outcomes. So the next transaction, that's nice, but the next new customer, that's better. Do you understand when you have a new customer? This is going to be something really important to measure. On the spirit of measurement, with a first-party data approach, with a focus on customer outcomes, you should start getting into things like testing, measuring incrementality, and all of what that entails and what that means. We'll dive into those things in another conversation in a lot more detail. But if you don't know what they are today, at the very least, ask. Next, signals from people who convert and you identify as new customers are really important when you're trying to figure out who the next new customer is. You would be surprised, you probably already understand this. This is not something as scientific and technical as you might think. These are signals that we can talk about, strategies to collect and utilize, again, in another conversation. Finally, now that you're not bidding to your conversion data anymore, and you have a first-party data set and you understand where your new customers are coming from, you want to start bidding towards the places where you're getting these new customers. So bidding to incremental outcomes carries the day. Doing all of this is going to put your business back on a growth trajectory, on a profitable trajectory, utilizing all the same digital platforms you've been using before, but in a very different way. You're going to start making more money, which in turn will grow your company, which will grow your marketing budget, which will get invested in these incredible digital platforms where you're going to find your next best customer, and then everyone's going to be happy again. You, your finance team, the digital platforms, everyone's going to be making more money. Heck, if you did all this, maybe you'll be the one that kills the third-party cookie. Send your questions, comments, or derision to Bonsai's LinkedIn page, or connect with me directly. LinkedIn.com/in/ButlerMatt.